Hey, my name is Rhea Waller and I teach at Fresno City College, and you are getting this message because you are enrolled in CIT12 Computer Literacy beginning in the fall semester on August 11th. So this message is really an important part of getting you started on the right path in our course. So please read it carefully, watch what I'm about to show you carefully, and follow this required action part that I'll cover at the end. So let's go ahead and turn to the course and take a look. In the message that I sent you, I've given you some basic information. I've also given you a link to Blackboard. Now, Blackboard, if you've used it in the past, will probably might look different from and this is called a URL, a web address. Okay, so you can just click on it and go to blackboard.fresnocitycollege.edu. Now I happen to already be logged on, so I'll just log off to show you what you would do here. Your username would be whatever your student ID number is, and your password could also be your student ID unless you've used Blackboard in the past and have changed it. But try first your student ID. If it doesn't work, try the password that you've used in the past, or vice versa. Now for me, this is an important password and I make it secure, something we'll talk about. So in here, this is our start page for Blackboard, and you will see something different than I see. My courses show the courses that I'm teaching. Yours will show the ones you're enrolled in. Some courses may not show up and some from other semesters might. You can actually come into this option to remove courses from previous semesters if you don't want to see it. So let's go ahead now and click into whatever section you see listed. Now in our course, the first thing that comes up is the course calendar, an extremely important part of our course because it tells you when things are due and what's due, which for students I've figured out, because I've been a student too, I always want to know. It's like, what's due and when is it due? That's why I've asked you in this email for you to try to understand, not try, but to understand what the answer to what's due in week 1. So you could actually just look at this and say, well, it looks like there's only one item, and then you can actually click on the item and see that it's week 1 classwork. And you might have a tendency to hit reply at this point and say, well, okay, due week 1 is week 1 classwork. So what I'm about to show you is actually something a little different to that, because in our course school starts on Monday. School starts on Monday, right? And then we have one item due, and then there's another item due the following Monday. So here's what I want you to know. During each week, there's actually a first due date, which is Thursday, and a second due date, which is the following Monday. So when I talk about what's due that week, it's actually the Thursday night item and the Monday night item. So to answer this question correctly, you'd want to go here, go classwork, and you'd want to go here, which is who's in the house. Okay, so you're going to learn more about how these things work in the next video, but this one is really just to help you understand first how to answer the question to stay in, and second is how to get around inside of Blackboard. Okay, because that's often the first questions I get. So I'm not going to do any more here because I'll do that in a minute. What I really want to answer is something very common that students ask me, which is the required course materials. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to Syllabus. So the syllabus is an important part of any class, and you can read more and we'll talk more about this later, but I want you to know the required materials and where you can get them. So there's basically 2 sources you can get. You can go to the bookstore, you can buy it, and here's a copy of what you would see on the online FCC, Fresno City College bookstore listing for this class. This includes a textbook and the software, or in this case it's really access to a website that is going to help us learn Microsoft Office, and you'll get used to this name from here on out. It's called My IT Lab. Okay, so if you spend this amount of money at the bookstore, you will get a hard copy version of the book, you will get an access code to the website My IT Lab. In addition, you will get an ebook version of the textbook. Okay, so that's option 1. Now, option 2 is actually to get it directly from the publisher. And in this case, you don't get a hard copy. So understand that. You do not get a hard copy. Now, here's the benefit. This doesn't cost you as much. So if you're somebody that likes to have a book, has time when they're not on the computer that you need to have that book to work on things, then that's an option. Or if you have other requirements that make you get a textbook, that's an option. But if you're somebody that feels comfortable enough or feel like you can do this without an actual textbook, or in this case you do get an actual textbook but not a physical textbook, you get an e-book. That's what that is. So I want you to know that there are 2 options for textbooks. I don't have a preference on which way you do this, but if you get it, it's cheaper from the publisher than it is in the bookstore, and the reason is when you get it in the bookstore, you actually get a hard copy of the textbook. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the calendar just so that we can answer this really important question that I've asked you. So in order for you to remain in the course, well, here's what you got to do. You got to reply to the message from me. You have to first you have to get into Blackboard, get into our course, determine what's due week 1. I've talked about this, so hopefully you got that down. And then reply to this message and tell me what is due in week 1. Alright? You do those steps successfully, you're going to be having a good start to this class. So go ahead and do those things, reply to me, and then you can get in actually and start looking at week 1 classwork and figure out what you need to do to complete that item. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.